What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age! Stay cool, bird boy.
Breezy. I'm feeling hot.
I find that unlikely.
Hello and welcome back to the most amazing channel on the internet. I am your hostess with the mostest, Rebecca Felgate. I don't know why I said that. I've noticed two things. You guys love scary things. You also seem to love ice. So with those two things in mind, you betcha that I've whipped up a top 10 scary iceberg stories video. Let the ice fest begin. But before I get into this video, I want to ask you guys if you've ever seen an iceberg in real life, or what's the coldest you have ever been. If anyone's watching from St. John's, Newfoundland, I really want to come and see the icebergs float by in May or June. Icebergs, honestly, it must be amazing to see them with your own eyes. While you're leaving an icy comment, why don't you also leave a thumbs up on this video and share it with a friend. Also, do be sure to check out the links in our description box for our most amazing Instagrams. Do stick around to the end of the video where I will be reading comments from a previous one. Ice, ice, baby, let's do this! Coming into number 10, we have Old Man Iceberg. And they called him Old Man Iceberg. I feel like I want to make up an urban legends about this guy. Look at him, he does not look happy. He looks like those pesky kids won't keep off his lawn. This image was posted to Reddit by Redditor Strumming Music and got 3.7 thousand upvotes, which is basically Reddit viral. One commenter, Eucapus, said, "You know what they say, what's above the water is the tip of the iceberg." I've left a link to the actual Reddit source for this one so you can read some of the pretty hilarious blue iceberg jokes that were made after that comment. I can't read them out because we are a family-friendly channel, but they did give me a little laugh, I have to say. Ooh, coming into number 9, we have the Titanic / Olympic conspiracy. Of course the Titanic was going to feature on this list, but it hitting the infamous iceberg and 1,503 people dying may not have been the end to this scary story. Some say it may have steered into the giant berg in the North Atlantic Ocean on purpose. So says a wild conspiracy theory anyway. So let me catch you up. The Titanic had a sister ship called the Olympic. Oddly, the Olympic also met some misfortune. In 1911, the Olympic collided with a naval ship, but insurers wouldn't pay out because they said that the Olympic was to blame. Some say in order to get their money, the White Star Line switched the Olympic and the Titanic in a classic switcheroo. Some Freaky Friday stuff right there. The Titanic, actually the Olympic, was ploughed into the iceberg and sunk purposefully so the company could actually get their money. The theory gained so much coverage that scores of online articles have been written perpetuating the conspiracy as well as disproving it. I'm gonna say though, I don't believe it. As much as they may have wanted their money, I don't think that they would have not had enough lifeboats on the ship if they were planning to sink it. Coming into number 8, we have the iceberg drifting to the village. Oh my god, this really freaks me out. Imagine looking out of your window and seeing a whopping great iceberg. Like in some ways, cool, but in other ways, like run. This mammoth iceberg rocked up on the west coast of Greenland, encroaching on a tiny village. Now the entire village was evacuated for the fear that it would carve and spark a giant tsunami flooding the village. Obviously from this picture we can see how big the iceberg is, but actually imagine being there and seeing this towering over your town with your own eyes. You can have a little look at this footage of an iceberg carving. Seriously stressful, can you imagine if that was right outside your window? Seriously. Coming into number 7, we have stranded on an iceberg. Can you think of anything more terrifying than being stranded on an iceberg? Because like, icy death, right? Well, it seems in March 2015, 2 teenagers got themselves stranded on an iceberg in Lake Michigan when they went out on the ice as the weather warmed up. A mini iceberg formed as the ice began to melt, leaving the boys stranded 40 yards from the shore. Basically, don't go walking on lakes when it's spring, you just don't know. Not so frozen after all. Emergency services were called as the boys easily could have been lost on their tiny iceberg, or they could have died from exposure or fallen in the water and drowned. Either way though, stressful. Coming into number 6, we have when Delaware broke away from Antarctica. Delaware is pretty big. It's a freaking state, albeit a small one, but still, it's big enough to be the home of nearly 1 million people. So imagine Delaware in size if you possibly can. Picture it in your mind. Okay, an iceberg the size of Delaware, broke off and away from Antarctica. Now if Delaware floated away from the rest of the United States, people would have something to say about it, but worryingly, when the Mammoth Berg broke away, it didn't make front page news. Weighing an estimated 1 trillion tons, the iceberg formerly made up 12% of the Larsen C ice shelf. If this honey melts, as icebergs tend to do once they've broken away from main ice sheets, it will add to the rising sea levels. Also, to put this in perspective, the iceberg that sank the Titanic was only around 300 to 400 feet long. This one, once again, is the size of Delaware. Ah! Ooh! Coming into number 5, we have the alien iceberg. Ah! Flat earthers and alien lovers rejoice, this is the icy conspiracy for you. A perfectly rectangle iceberg caught the world's attention in October 2018 when NASA ICE discovered it on a flyover of the Larsen C ice shelf. Now some flat earthers were saying that what we're seeing is part of the much famed ice wall. The wall! Honestly, classic ice wall. If I had $1 for every time I'd heard about the ice wall whilst working in this job, I swear. Others say that actually this very geometric iceberg was the work of aliens, for some reason, because everything we don't understand must be aliens, right? Right. NASA then shared a picture of a triangular iceberg, but it didn't look quite as clean cut as the rectangle. Now the official line is that the iceberg is pretty straight when it first breaks away from ice shelves. It's only wind and waves that forms their shapes, but I have to say, this did look perfectly rectangular and the image isn't a fake, so what is going on? Coming into number 4, another what is going on moment, we have the mystery of the green icebergs in Antarctica. Green icebergs exist and have been vexing scientists for 200 years. Have a look at these absolute emerald beauties, what stunners! But indeed, with every strange and beautiful unsolved mystery comes a beautiful harebrained conspiracy or urban legend. Some say that the bergs are the jewels of the ocean god Poseidon. Others say that they're where the US dump their chemicals. Others say they carry a key nutrient for marine life. You decide. I like the Poseidon jewels thing, I think that's kinda nice. Green iceberg, seriously. Okay, another coloured iceberg. Coming in at number 3, we have the mystery of bloody ice. Ah, blood fools, we meet again in another top 10 list. Do you want to have a look at Antarctica's bleeding iceberg? Of course you do, you love the gore. Here we have pictures of blood falls, and it was first discovered in 1911 by explorer Griffith Taylor. A lot of people, including the explorer, were freaked out by the gruesome sight, although they originally attributed the gory sight to red algae. It turns out that that was not the explanation. What was? Iron, like in actual blood. Iron oxide anyway. There was water passing through, it was making it red. It looked gross, it wasn't actually that scary. Unless you saw it in the flesh, because I'd be like, ah! Death iceberg. Ooh, speaking of death icebergs, at number 2 we have the Doomsday Glacier. Meet the Thwaites Glacier, a place so remote that 28 humans have only ever set foot there. The glacier may hold the fate of the world in its icy body, which is pretty intense. Far away from the glacier are low-lying coastal cities like Miami and New York, home to trillions of dollars of real estate and businesses and a lot of people. In fact, half of the world's population lays within 50 miles of the coastline. So with that in mind, once again, our fate rests with the Thwaites Glacier, one of the largest on the planet. The glacier has been dubbed the Doomsday Glacier for a reason. Now it won't melt overnight, we're monitoring it right now, but when it does, it will destabilize the rest of the West Antarctic ice and sea levels could then rise 10 feet, and because of tidal bulges, around 13 feet in Boston and New York. Geologist Richard Alley said West Antarctica could do to the coastlines of the world what Hurricane Sandy did in a few hours to New York City. Worrying. This makes me so sad at number 1. I'm sorry to even tell you about this, it makes me want to cry. Finally, coming into number 1, we have the death of the penguins. In February 2016, 150,000 Antarctic penguins died after an iceberg the size of Rome drifted into their home turf. The rogue berg cut off their ability to hunt for food as it landlocked them away from their hunting ground. Since 2011, the colony of 160,000 penguins has shrunk to just 10,000. The colony is likely to be driven to extinction within the next 10 years as a direct result of the iceberg, which makes me sad. Long live the penguins. So guys, that was the top 10 scary iceberg stories. What did you think to this list? Do let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Honestly, I have to say, huge floating blocks of ice are pretty terrifying. They're like one of the things that I imagine out there. I know that icebergs exist, but I don't even really think about the practicalities of them existing. Like, what would I do if I saw a massive iceberg? I want to know what you guys think. Do you think they're scary? Do you think the Titanic sinking was some kind of iceberg conspiracy theory? Why do you think that some icebergs are green, and what on earth is happening with the weird rectangles and triangle icebergs? Are they aliens? Also, my biggest question is, how can we save the penguins? Too many thoughts for just one day. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'm especially interested, as always, to hear from flat earthers, just because, you know, I want to listen. Alright, before I leave, I'm just going to read out some comments from the top 10 scary times animals predicted disasters. This was a video collaboration between myself and Jocelyn, and you guys seem to really enjoy the video. Levy said, my dog has the ability to breathe. Stop the press. Future Nerd Gamer wrote, I bet you $1 million you won't reply to this comment, Rebecca. Ooh, well, I'll send you my bank details because I've replied, and honestly I could use the cash. And also hi. Morty Mouse said animals are the real MVPs. Right? Turkey Archer, great name, said, my pet does not have a special ability per se, but she is completely obsessed with flushing toilets. To be honest, I get if you're like an animal or a dog, a cat, whatever, and you hear a toilet flush, you must be like, what is going on? Because they don't understand things. I mean, they do, but maybe not. Flushing. Good. Great. I've turned to just saying crazy words in non-specific orders, so I think it's time for me to leave. Once again, if you like this video, please do leave a thumbs up and share it with a friend. I'm your host, Rebecca Felgate. Do check out the links in the description box for our most amazing Instagrams, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!